The house was quiet, the way it only ever got when Mom was gone for the weekend. She would left Friday morning for some work retreat upstate, kissing my forehead like I was still 12 instead of 21, telling my stepdad to take care of the place while she was away. Mark had just nodded, the same calm nod he always gave, and I would pretend to be busy on my phone so I would not have to look at him too long. He would been living with us for 3 years now, and somehow I still had not figured out how to be normal around a man who looked like he belonged on a fireman calendar instead of in our suburban kitchen. I waited until his truck rumbled out of the driveway Saturday afternoon. Some errands, he would said, before I let myself breathe. The silence felt thick, electric. I locked my bedroom door even though no one was home, heart already pounding with the secret I would been nursing for weeks. Ever since I would accidentally opened the wrong drawer in their bedroom looking for a charger and found the little black silicone toy tucked beneath Mom's silk scarves. It was not huge, but it curved in a way that made my mouth dry the moment I touched it. I would stood there frozen for a full minute, pulse rushing in my ears before I slipped it into my pocket like a thief. I told myself I would just look at it. Just once. Then I would put it back and pretend I would never seen it. That was 3 weekends ago. Now I was on my bed in nothing but an oversized t-shirt, knees drawn up, the toy slick with lube I would ordered online and hidden inside an old calculus textbook. My phone was propped against a pillow, playing soft music to cover any sounds, though I was not sure why I still bothered with pretending. The curtains were drawn, afternoon light leaking gold around the edges. I closed my eyes and let the first slow press inside me pull a shudder from my chest. It felt wrong and perfect at the same time, like I was stealing something that already belonged to me in some twisted way. I would gotten good at this. Too good. I knew exactly how deep, how fast, the angle that made my toes curl against the sheets. My breath came in small, desperate gasps as I worked myself higher, chasing that bright edge I could never quite reach on my own. Every thrust reminded me whose toy this was, whose bed it lived beside, whose strong hands probably knew exactly how to use it. The shame only made it hotter. I bit down on my lip to keep from moaning his name. I was so close, so embarrassingly close when the doorknob rattled. I froze, the toy buried deep, my whole body clenched around it. I would locked the door. I knew I had, but the rattle came again, sharper, and then the soft scrape of a key. Time slowed. The door swung open and Mark filled the frame, grocery bags in one hand, keys dangling from the other. His eyes found me instantly, legs spread, shirt rucked up to my waist, hand still gripping the base of the black silicone he definitely recognized. For one endless second, neither of us moved. I could not even breathe. His gaze dropped to the toy, then dragged slowly up my trembling thighs to my face. Something dark flickered across his expression. Not anger, not disgust. Something hungrier. "Looks like you found my favorite," he said, voice low, almost amused. The bag slipped from his fingers and hit the carpet with a dull thud. Oranges rolled across the floor. He stepped inside and closed the door behind him, the click of the lock loud as a gunshot. I still had not moved. Could not. The toy was slick and hot inside me, and I was terrified that if I shifted even an inch, he would see how close I was to falling apart. He leaned back against the door, arms folding across his chest, watching me like he had all the time in the world. "Do not stop on my account, sweetheart." My mouth opened, but no sound came out. Heat flooded my cheeks, my chest, everywhere. I should have yanked the blanket over myself. Should have screamed. Instead, my traitorous body gave a tiny, helpless throb around the silicone, and his eyes darkened because he saw it. "Been wondering where that went," he continued, pushing off the door and taking one slow step toward the bed. "Your mom thinks she lost it on the trip to Napa." I let her think that. Another step. Imagine my surprise coming home early and hearing those pretty little noises through the wall. I whimpered. Actually whimpered. The sound embarrassed me almost as much as being caught. He stopped at the edge of the mattress. towering over me. Close enough that I could smell the faint trace of his cologne mixed with summer heat on his skin. "Tell me, baby," he murmured, voice velvet and rough at the same time. "Does it feel as good as you imagined when you stole it?" I shook my head frantically, tears pricking at the corners of my eyes, but my hips rolled of their own accord, chasing friction I no longer controlled. A low chuckle rumbled out of him. "Liar," he said softly. Then he sat down on the bed beside me, the mattress dipping under his weight, and the world tilted sideways. His hand big, warm, calloused closed gently around my wrist where I still gripped the base. Not pulling me away. Just holding. Claiming, "Let me show you how it is really supposed to be used," he said. And God help me, I did not say no. His fingers tightened around my wrist, not painful, just enough to remind me who was in charge now. The toy shifted inside me when he moved my hand. A slow, deliberate drag that tore a broken gasp from my throat. My eyes flew to his face. Mark was not smiling anymore. The amusement had burned away into something raw and focused, like a man who just realized the thing he wanted most was already trembling in his grip. "Shh," he murmured, leaning closer. His free hand brushed a strand of hair from my damp forehead, the gesture almost tender if it were not for the heat pouring off him. "You have been playing all by yourself. Have not you taken what you needed in secret?" His thumb traced my lower lip, pressing until I parted for him. "But you never quite got there, did you?" I shook my head before I could stop myself. The admission felt like peeling off skin. He made a low, approving sound. "That is because this toy was never meant for lonely girls, baby. It was meant for someone who knows exactly how to wreck you with it." He guided my hand again, slower this time, showing me a rhythm I had not found on my own. Deeper, then almost all the way out, a twist at the end that made my back arch clean off the bed. A choked cry escaped me. He swallowed it with his mouth, sudden and shocking, kissing me like he was starving. His tongue slid against mine, claiming every corner while his grip on my wrist kept the torment steady and merciless. When he finally pulled back, my lips were swollen and I was panting. He studied me the way a wolf studies a rabbit that is already stopped running. "Take the shirt off," he said. My hands shook so badly I could barely grip the hem. He watched every inch of skin appear, eyes tracking over my breasts, my stomach, the fleshed place between my thighs where the toy still glistened. When the shirt hit the floor, he exhaled, rough and reverent. "Jesus. Look at you." He shifted, kneeling between my legs now, forcing them wider to make room for his broad frame. The new position pushed the toy even deeper, and I whined, hips jerking. He pressed one large palm against my lower belly, holding me still. "Stay open for me," he ordered, voice gravel. "You do not get to hide anymore." Then he took over completely. My hand was no longer mine. It moved because he made it move, long, punishing strokes that lit every nerve on fire. His other hand slid up my thigh, thumb brushing over my clit in tight, ruthless circles. The dual assault shredded whatever was left of my control. I could hear myself making sounds I did not recognize, high, desperate, pleading. "That is it," he growled against my ear, teeth scraping the lobe. "Let me hear how much you need this." I came embarrassingly fast, the orgasm slamming into me so hard my vision whited out. My whole body seized around the toy, around his fingers, and I might have screamed if he had not covered my mouth with his, drinking down every muffled cry. But he did not stop. He slowed just enough to keep me from shattering completely, then built the pace again, relentless. I was sobbing into his shoulder, nails digging into his arms when he finally eased the toy out. I felt horrifyingly empty for one heartbeat, until two of his thick fingers pushed inside me instead, curling expertly. My back bowed. "Sensitive," I gasped, trying to twist away. He pinned my hips down with one forearm across my pelvis, unyielding. "You will take everything I give you tonight," he said, dark promise in every word. You started this game with my things. Now you play by my rules. He worked me through another climax with just his fingers, and filthy praise whispered against my throat, telling me how pretty I looked falling apart, how tight and perfect I felt, how he would been hard for weeks listening to me through the walls, pretending I did not know he could hear. When I was limp and shaking, he pulled back just far enough to strip off his shirt. I would seen him without one before pool days. Yard work, but never like this. Never with that hungry focus aimed only at me. His chest was broad and dusted with hair, muscles shifting as he unbuckled his belt. The sound of the leather sliding free made my spent body clench all over again. He must have seen the panic flicker across my face because he paused, belt hanging open, and cut my cheek almost gently. "Tell me to stop and I will," he said, voice rough but steady. We close the door, I walk out, and this never happened. "Your choice, sweetheart." I should have said stop. Every sane part of me screamed to say it. Instead, I reached for him, fingers fumbling with the button of his jeans, and whispered, "Do not you dare leave." His control snapped like a cut wire. 1 second I was reaching. The next I was on my stomach, his weight pinning me to the mattress, one hand fisted in my hair. He bit the back of my neck hard enough to mark, and I moaned into the pillow. "Greedy girl," he growled against my skin. "You have no idea what you just asked for." Then he was inside me. No toy this time, just thick, bare heat stretching me open in one slow, inexorable thrust. The sound I made was half sob, half prayer. He gave me a moment to adjust, breath ragged against my shoulder, then started to move, deep, punishing strokes that rocked the bed against the wall. Every drag of his hips felt like punishment and salvation at once. He kept one hand under me, fingers working my clit again, forcing me higher even as I begged that I could not take any more. He proved me wrong twice, until I was crying into the sheets and he was groaning my name like it hurt. When he finally came, it was with his teeth sunk into my shoulder and my name broken on his tongue. The pulse of it inside me triggered one last, shattering climax that left me boneless and wrecked. We stayed like that for a long minute, sweat cooling, hearts hammering against each other's ribs. Then he pulled out carefully and rolled me over, brushing damp hair from my face with shaking fingers. "You okay?" he asked, voice hoarse. I could not speak yet, so I just nodded, still trembling with aftershocks. He kissed my forehead, tender now in a way that made my chest ache, then disappeared into my bathroom. Water ran. He came back with a warm cloth and cleaned me gently, reverently, like I was something precious he would almost broken. When he finished, he stretched out beside me and pulled me into his arms without asking. I went willingly, curling into the solid warmth of him, listening to his heartbeat slow. "We are so screwed," I whispered against his chest. His fingers stroked down my spine. "Yeah," he said, no regret in his tone at all. But we are not done. The room smelled like sex in summer heat, and the faint citrus of the spilled oranges still scattered across the carpet. Mark's arm was heavy around my waist, his breath steady against the back of my neck. I should have felt panic, guilt, anything, except the slow, syrupy warmth spreading through my limbs. Instead, I felt claimed, owned in a way that made my toes curl again, just remembering how completely he would taken me apart. His fingers started moving, lazy circles along my hip, then lower, tracing the marks his teeth had left on my shoulder. Each touch felt like a brand. "You are thinking too loud," he murmured, lips brushing my skin. "I am thinking we just blew up our entire lives," I said, voice small. He hummed, unconcerned. Maybe we finally started living them. He shifted, rolling me onto my back so he could look at me. The dimming light through the curtains painted gold across his cheekbones, the stubble along his jaw. He looked younger like this, unguarded, dangerous in an entirely different way. "I am not going to pretend this did not happen," he said. "And I am not going to let you pretend either." My heart stuttered. Mom comes home tomorrow night? I know. His thumb brushed my lower lip again, possessive. Which means we have tonight to figure out exactly how much trouble we want to be in. He kissed me before I could answer, slow and filthy, like he was memorizing the taste of me. When he pulled away, my head was spinning. Shower, he decided. Then no bed. My bed. Yours is wrecked. I glanced at the damp sheets, the lube bottle on its side, the toy lying abandoned near the pillow, and felt my face burn. He just laughed softly and scooped me up like I weighed nothing. I squeaked, clutching at his shoulders. Put me down, I can walk. Not a chance. I like you exactly where you are. He carried me down the hallway to the master bathroom, the one with the big glass shower Mom had picked out last year. He set me on the counter, turned the water scalding, then stripped off what little we were still wearing. The sight of him naked and half hard again made my mouth dry. He caught me staring and smirked. Keep looking at me like that, and we won't make it to the water. We did make it. Barely. The shower was all slick skin and steam and his hands everywhere, washing me with the same deliberate focus he would use to unravel me. He knelt at one point, mouth tracing the bruises blooming on my thighs, tongue soothing and teasing until I had to brace both hands against the tile to stay upright. When he finally stood and pressed me to the wall, sliding into me from behind with one smooth thrust, I came again so hard my knees buckled. He held me through it, whispering praise and filth in equal measure until the water started to cool. Later, dried off and wrapped in his towel, he carried me to their bed, his and Mom's, and I should have felt wrong about it, but I did not. The sheets smelled like him, not her. He pulled me down on top of him, hands roaming my back, my ass, like he could not stop touching. Tell me what you want, he said against my throat. Anything. I will give it to you. I wanted too many things. I wanted him to ruin me again. I wanted to ruin him back. I wanted to pretend the world outside this room did not exist. I settled for pushing him onto his back and sliding down his body until my mouth hovered over him. His breath hissed out when I licked a stripe up his length, slow and deliberate. Baby, he warned, voice strained. I took him in as deep as I could, reveling in the way his hips jerked, the broken sound he made. His hands tangled in my hair, not guiding, just holding on. I worked him with tongue and lips and the occasional graze of teeth until he was shaking, cursing under his breath. When he finally hauled me up and flipped us, entering me in one brutal thrust, I was already so close it only took a few strokes before I was clenching around him again. He followed seconds later, burying his face in my neck and groaning my name like it was the only word he knew. We dozed after that, tangled and sticky, waking every hour or so to touch, taste, take. At some point, he carried me to the kitchen naked, sat me on the counter, and fed me strawberries from the fridge, while his fingers played between my legs until I was riding his hand right there under the pendant lights. Another time, I woke to him sliding into me from behind, slow and sleepy, rocking us both to a gentle, shattering climax that left tears on my cheeks for reasons I could not name. Near dawn, we lay on our backs staring at the ceiling, his hand laced with mine. I do not know how to go back, I whispered. He was quiet for a long moment. Then we do not? I turned to look at him. What does that even mean? It means, he said, rolling to face me, expression fierce. I have wanted you since the day you walked around the pool in that red bikini and pretended not to notice me watching. I married your mom because I thought I could outrun it. I was wrong. His thumb wiped away a tear I had not realized fell. I am done running. If you want out, I will let you go, and I will carry this alone. But if you want me, really want me, then we figure the rest out together. Whatever that looks like. My chest felt too full, like it might crack open. I would spend years telling myself this was impossible, wrong, insane. But lying here with him, feeling the ache between my thighs and the steadier ache in my heart, I could not remember why. I want you, I said, voice cracking. God help me, I want you. He kissed me then, soft and deep and full of everything we had not said yet. When he pulled back, the sky outside was turning pink. We will tell her together, he said. Or we won't. We will leave. We will lie. We will do whatever we have to. But you are mine now, and I am not giving you back. I nodded, tears slipping into my hair. He wiped them away and pulled me close, tucking my head under his chin. Hours later, when Mom's car crunched up the driveway, we were dressed and downstairs. I was making coffee with shaking hands. He was reading the paper like nothing had changed. She walked in, dropped her suitcase, and smiled at both of us. Hey, strangers. Miss me? Mark looked up, calm as ever. More than you know. I met his eyes over her head and felt the secret ignite between us like a struck match. Everything had changed. Everything was just beginning.